Research methods are the tools scientists use to explore questions and find answers. Quantitative research is one such tool that focuses on gathering numerical data. This type of research is useful when you need to measure something, like the number of people who prefer a new product or the effectiveness of a new drug. For example, imagine you want to know how many students in a school prefer online classes over traditional ones. You might design a survey with structured questions and use statistical methods to analyze the answers from hundreds or even thousands of students. One might ask, why is it important to collect numerical data? Because numbers allow us to see patterns and trends that help us understand behavior on a large scale. In contrast, qualitative research is about understanding ideas, thoughts, or experiences that cannot be easily measured with numbers. Instead of counting responses, researchers conduct interviews, focus groups, or observations to gather detailed insights. For instance, if you want to learn how students feel about the transition to online learning, you might conduct open-ended interviews. By listening to their personal stories, you gain a deeper understanding of the challenges and benefits they experience. This method can uncover hidden motivations or subtle differences in opinions that a survey might miss. Why use qualitative methods? They provide rich, descriptive data that help explain the reasons behind the numbers. Mixed mediums research combines both quantitative and qualitative approaches to give a fuller picture. Imagine a study that first uses a survey to gather numerical data on student performance and then follows up with interviews to understand why some students perform better than others. This approach allows researchers to use numbers to identify trends and personal stories to explain those trends. It's like having both a map and a travel diary when exploring a new city. One gives you an overview, and the other fills in the details. There are also other types of research methods tailored to specific needs. Descriptive research, for example, simply describes what is happening in a particular setting without trying to change anything. An example would be documenting the behavior of shoppers in a mall. Analytical research involves examining existing data to draw new conclusions, such as reviewing past studies to understand how a policy has affected the economy. Applied research seeks to solve practical problems like developing a new technology to clean water, while fundamental research aims to expand our overall knowledge, even if it doesn't have an immediate application. Some studies might involve action research, where researchers work with participants to solve a problem while also studying the process. For example, a school might try a new teaching method, assess its effectiveness, and adjust the approach based on feedback from teachers and students. Exploratory research is useful when a problem isn't well understood. It helps define the problem and suggest possible solutions, while evaluative research measures how effective a policy or program is. Overall, choosing the right research method depends on what you want to find out. Are you looking for broad trends, or do you need detailed personal insights? Do you have the time and resources for a large-scale survey, or would in-depth interviews better suit your goals? By matching your research question with the appropriate method, you can ensure that you gather meaningful and reliable data. How might understanding these different approaches help you decide on the best way to explore your own research question? The answer is that knowing the strengths and limitations of each method allows you to design a study that is both practical and thorough, capturing both the numbers and the narratives behind your data. Quantitative research involves the systematic collection and analysis of numerical data to identify patterns and test hypotheses. This method uses structured tools such as surveys, experiments, and statistical models to measure variables precisely. It allows researchers to generalize findings from a sample to a larger population. The approach is fundamental for establishing measurable relationships and drawing statistical conclusions about behaviors and phenomena. A study might use a structured questionnaire to survey hundreds of students about their study habits and then analyze the data using statistical software to determine trends. It's like using a ruler to measure the length of many objects. The consistent numbers allow you to compare and generalize measurements across a group. Qualitative research focuses on understanding concepts, experiences, and motivations through non-numerical data. This method employs open-ended interviews, focus groups, observations, and content analysis to capture the richness of human experience. It seeks to explore and interpret complex phenomena in depth rather than measure them statistically. A researcher might conduct in-depth interviews with students to understand their personal experiences and attitudes toward online learning. like listening to personal stories to understand someone's life rather than just looking at a chart of their age and income. Mixed media research combines both quantitative and qualitative techniques to provide a comprehensive understanding of a research problem. This approach uses numerical data to establish general trends and qualitative data to explain the underlying reasons behind those trends. It can be conducted sequentially or concurrently, allowing for a more robust analysis of complex issues. A study on educational outcomes might first survey a large group of students, quantitative, and then hold focus groups to explore the reasons behind the survey results, qualitative. It's like using both a map and personal travel reviews when planning a trip. The map shows the route, while the reviews provide insights into the journey's quality. Descriptive research aims to systematically describe a phenomenon or the characteristics of a population. This method involves collecting data that depict the current state of affairs without manipulating variables. It helps researchers document and present detailed observations that can serve as a baseline for further studies. The goal is to provide a clear, factual picture of what is happening in a given context. A study might describe the demographic characteristics and daily routines of high school students in a specific region using surveys and observational data. It's like taking a snapshot of a busy street. The photograph captures details of people, traffic, and surroundings exactly as they are at that moment. Analytical research involves the systematic examination and evaluation of existing information to draw conclusions or develop new insights. This method uses critical thinking to analyze data, literature, or historical records, often comparing and contrasting different sources. It does not involve new data collection, but focuses on interpreting and synthesizing already available information. The approach is essential for understanding complex issues and identifying patterns or trends from previous studies. A researcher might review published studies on the effectiveness of various study techniques and analyze the data to determine which method yields the best academic performance. It's like reading multiple reviews of a product and then summarizing the common points to decide whether it's worth buying. Applied research is focused on solving specific practical problems and improving processes in real-world settings. This method takes theoretical knowledge and uses it to develop solutions, products, or strategies that have immediate applications. It often involves experimental studies and field trials to test the effectiveness of new approaches. The results are directly used to address practical challenges and drive innovation. An applied research project might investigate the impact of a new teaching method on student engagement and then implement the successful approach in classrooms. It's like testing a new recipe in a home kitchen to see if it works before using it in a restaurant. The goal is to create a practical, useful outcome. Fundamental or basic research aims to expand general knowledge and understand underlying principles without immediate practical applications. This method explores theoretical questions and seeks to uncover new insights about natural phenomena. The findings often lay the groundwork for future applied research and technological advancements. It is driven by curiosity and the desire to deepen our understanding of the world. A researcher might study the behavior of molecules in various conditions to understand the fundamental principles of chemical reactions. It's like exploring a new book genre for the sheer joy of learning. Without worrying about immediate benefits, you expand your horizons and gain deeper insights. Action research focuses on solving immediate problems while simultaneously studying the process to improve practices, often involving active participation from stakeholders. Exploratory research, on the other hand, is used when little is known about a phenomenon and aims to generate hypotheses and insights for further study. Both methods are dynamic, iterative, and closely connected to real-world challenges. They provide valuable feedback that can be used to refine approaches and inform future research strategies. A teacher might engage in action research by trying a new classroom management strategy, observing the outcomes, and then refining the approach based on feedback. It's like experimenting with a new recipe while cooking, tasting and adjusting the ingredients in real time to achieve the best flavor. Evaluative research is designed to assess the effectiveness of programs, policies, or practices by systematically measuring outcomes against set objectives. This method involves both quantitative and qualitative data to determine the impact and identify areas for improvement. It helps decision-makers understand what works, what doesn't, and why. Choosing the right research method depends on the research objectives, the nature of the data, and the available resources, ensuring that the approach aligns with the goals of the study. An evaluative study might assess the success of a new school curriculum by comparing student performance before and after its implementation and gathering feedback from teachers. It's like reading a report card for a new sports training program. You review both the numbers and the personal feedback to decide if the program is effective and what might need adjustment.